Yeah,
I'm driving by.
They do.
I'm
They have,
driving
like-
down the road the other day, and this lady has her big ass dog out her window.
It's distracting.
I'm like, lady, focus on the road. Put Fido away,
Right,
man.
and it's gonna jump out and then get hit by a car, and she's gonna be all sad
Yeah.
and blame the driver. It's like, no, that was your fault for being irresponsible.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the TomCast. This is Tominator, Tom Chericello, coming to you live from beautiful Sarasota, Florida. Got my co-host Drew Ryan with me today.
What's happening?
My other co-host Morgan Steffes.
Hello.
Hi, Morgan. Good to have you here. First shout out. Every week I do a shout out to my drink of the week. Did a Wawa a couple weeks ago. Circle K. 7-Eleven last week. This is McDonald's, plain old Mickey D's. The soda machine was broken at McDonald's today, but I have unsweet tea that's just fine. It's better for you anyway.
Was it $18?
Inflation.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It's just so low. It's low hanging.
They say that like McDonald's are like it's $20 like now for a meal in some areas of the country. Do you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy. Might as well go to Food and Beer.
That's right. They're pricing themselves out of the equation. All right, as we always start off our show with a few shout-outs. The first one, Morgan will never have heard of this guy, but Bill Walton died this week. Bill Walton was a legendary basketball player, 6'11" redhead from Northern California. He grew up, played for UCLA, University of California at Los Angeles. Back then, freshmen weren't allowed to play, so you only could play your sophomore, junior, and senior year. So he played 3 years. He was 86-4.
Yeah.
In 3 years. They won the championship as sophomore,
86
junior,
wins?
and 4 losses.
Wow. Wow.
And the 4 losses were all, well, 2 of them were in one weekend. They lost to Oregon and Oregon State in the same weekend, which became known as the lost weekend. He was injured. There were other issues. Those were 2 close games. They lost one game. They won 88 straight.
Yeah.
And they lost to Notre Dame. I remember watching that game when I was a little kid. They were up by 11 points with 4 minutes to go. And Notre Dame scored 12 points in a row and won by 1. So that was a game they should have won. Then they lost in his senior year in the NCAA tournament to a great North Carolina State team led by David Thompson. Game went to double overtime, and they were ahead by 7 in second overtime, and they blew the lead. But just an unbelievable. He went to the NBA, won the championship with the Portland Trail Blazers. Then he got hurt.
Yeah.
He had injuries. He was plagued by injuries even going back to college.
Yep.
And he tried to play through it. Eventually retired. He goes to Stanford Law School after he retires, the number 1 law school arguably in the country. So that's a 3-year program. So he's in his second year of law school. And every year Stanford has a game, just a pickup game between the law school and the medical school. But it's like prestigious game, you want to win. So the law students recruit him. They're like, hey, you're a great player. And he goes, I don't know. And he want to play. So they kind of drag him, and he plays, and he doesn't feel any pain. So he's like, heck, I'm going to go back to the NBA. So he leaves Stanford, which...
So he did 2 of the 3 years?
Yeah,
and then
he never
left?
graduated. Yeah, he goes back to the NBA.
Dang.
Of course, he probably made more money playing basketball than he could have been a lawyer. But Stanford is a big, huge deal.
Well, and he was smart for a sports guy. I feel like
Oh,
most
yeah,
of them
very
aren't that
intelligent
smart.
guy.
Very intelligent guy, considered on the left, He became, later in life, a great announcer, very colorful, very fun to watch, and, it's a big loss. A lot of people, especially with the Celtics, because later in life he played with the Celtics and won a championship.
His second championship was with the Celtics, a great team with Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McNeil, Dennis Johnson, Rick Carlisle, who's coaching out of the Indiana Pacers. I mean, just a great team.
You want to watch that ESPN 30 for 30, The Luckiest Man Alive with Bill Walton. It is phenomenal. It's a 2-part series.
He was obsessed with the band The Grateful Dead.
Really cool. Yeah. Jerry Garcia, man.
He's rumored to have seen the Grateful Dead 850 times live.
Who has time for that?
Well, he's a rich guy.
Yeah, but over what time frame? Wasn't he playing basketball and going to law
this goes from like the 60s.
Oh.
So basically over like probably 50 years, he saw the Grateful Dead 850 times.
Wow.
He was a really interesting guy. That's a
Obsessive.
big loss.
Yeah, it really is. And
How did he die?
cancer. I think it's rumored that he had prostate cancer, right?
Yeah, I think
sad.
that was it. Yeah.
You got to watch that prostate. I was reading the Men's Health
Gotta watch
magazine, and they said I asked a girlfriend of mine as a nurse, and it said Men's Health, like if a guy, one way to prevent, how do you prevent prostate cancer? One way is, there's a family show.
Let's hear it.
If a guy ejaculates, that's good for protecting your prostate
Like
health.
how often?
Like as much as you can.
As much as you can.
So of course,
Like what,
I
5,
asked
6 times a day?
I asked a friend that she confirmed that. I guess that's true. Like that'll help. That's something that.
But what's too little amount of ejaculation to not help?
I think they
get
say if you
cancer?
do it like 30 sometimes a month is recommended.
30 times a month. All right, so once a day.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So
Good
I'm all
little
for
fact.
that.
Let Trey know.
I need to protect the prostate. Second shout out, the Cannes Film Festival. It's spelled, for those who don't know, Cannes, a city in France, south of France, resort town, very exclusive, rich and famous. Every year they have a film festival there. All people from all over the world show up, big shot actors and directors and producers. It just ended, I think it's almost 2 weeks it goes. So they give out a bunch of awards. One interesting to me for several reasons is the Best Actress category. There's a film called Emilia Perez. Has not been released yet. It's about a Mexican drug lord. It's like 50 years old. So he wants to be a woman for two reasons. One, because he wants to be a woman, and two, because it'll help him elude capture. So he gets a sex change, transgender. So the award for Best Actress was given to 4 women in that movie. It was shared. Selena Gomez, one of my favorites. Zoe Saldana, another one of my favorites, who actually was born in Passaic, New Jersey. Spent a lot of time in Passaic. Shout out to Passaic, New Jersey. Also, Barry Manilow was born in Passaic, New Jersey. Just FYI. Adriana Paz, a Mexican actress, and Carla Sofia Gasson, a Spanish actress. So those 4 shared that award.
But I thought you said the movie's not out, or it's just
No,
not out here.
It's not anywhere yet.
How'd they
Netflix bought it, so it's going to be on Netflix. Well, they show it there, but the public hasn't seen it.
I see what you're saying. Is it based on a true story?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any drug lord transgender that I'm aware
Well,
of.
that's what I was saying. Who is this guy? I want to look him up. Look her up.
But that's the name of the movie. I look forward to seeing it. Emilia Perez.
All right, add it to the list.
Next shout out goes to a young lady named Alejandra Rodriguez. She competed for Miss Universe title. Miss Universe, I'm not a big beauty pageant expert. You have to win like lower pageants and work your way up. So you might go, like say in your United States, you might win Miss Dallas, then Miss Texas, and then Miss USA, then Miss Universe. So she won Miss Buenos Aires, which is the largest city in Argentina. She goes for Miss Argentina. If she wins that, she gets to be Miss Universe. So she lost Miss Argentina, so she's not going to be Miss Universe. But what's interesting is, until this year, the age range to go for Miss Universe was 18 to 28. This year, they eliminated that, any age. She's 60 years old. And if you guys want to check her picture out online, if you Google that.
What's her name?
Alejandra Rodriguez.
She's 60-60.
60.
Wow.
And you look at the pictures, and it's like, wow.
There you
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
she
pretty.
looks great.
Sure.
I wonder though, has she gotten any facelifts, or is this natural?
I think it's natural.
I
went
think
to the
the
government
rule for
plastic
this Miss
surgery
Universe stuff should be you can only be here if you've gotten nothing done to your face. No plastic surgery, real, raw beauty. Not all this fake bullshit.
She does get a shout out. I give her the standard. She can airfare and Hooters if she wants to come to Sarasota.
Yeah, age
visit
appropriate.
Tom.
So
Tom,
would
that's
you
what you
would
need
you
to hit
marry
on.
her because she's a beautiful 60-year-old, or is that still too old for you?
Well, these are two
What's your
issues.
age range? Is it 18 to 28 too?
There are issues of would I marry anybody is question A.
Okay, yes, that's true.
Could be, and then there's also would I marry a 60-year-old? Those are 2 different questions.
Okay.
Objection compound. That's one thing I learned when I'm doing depositions. You can't ask 2 questions in one.
I think I know the answer.
I don't recall. So I give her a shout. Last week I mentioned D. Wayne Lucas, the horse trainer, 88.
Yeah.
We got the 6. have you guys ever heard that like 70's the new 40? Have you heard, or whatever it is? Have you heard that, Morgan? Like they're saying like people are living longer, they're healthier.
Oh, yes.
Like, in other words, so like when I was a kid, if the car hit 100,000 miles, that car was done and you could scrap it. And if you were 70, it was like, hey, better start getting your affairs in order. Now, people living like healthy. I mean, you see like 80, 90, 100, no problem. Mm-hmm. Well, and they're living active lives.
That's the point, though. The key is to stay active, because if you don't, then you're going to be that 70-year-old that's keeled over. Mm-hmm. Dr. Rob and Dr. Shannon.
There you go. All right, so I give her a shout out. Right now we have some updates on prior stories that we've discussed in previous episodes. Is number one, biggest one, Donald Trump criminal trial in New York City. The jury is deliberating. For those who are not familiar with legal stuff, when the jury deliberates, that means they go into their jury room and decide. The case is over. They're making a decision. They could come back right now and say, hey, guilty or not guilty.
Yeah, by the time you tape next week, we'll have a decision. We'll know what happened.
This is going to be over. I can't imagine
More
it.
than likely, yeah.
Maybe, if not today, maybe tomorrow. Really interesting. There's so many ramifications of this. First of all, Trump's worth over $7 billion. They say rich people never go to jail. Ex-president, no president's ever even been accused of, charged with a crime. What if he does go to jail? Like just so you know, Morgan, if you're president or first lady, you get Secret Service protection for life.
Makes sense.
Like a whole fleet of agents, protecting you. So are they going to put agents in jail with Trump?
Well, he probably will be like in a way nicer jail with people protecting him eating steak and mashed potatoes. Like, there's no way he's going to be with the commoners.
Yeah, like in Goodfellas, where they got the lobsters coming in. How do you like your steak? I like it rare. Oh, an aristocrat,
Because he'd be dead in a day, or people would love him there. I don't know. He would run it. He'd be the top dog.
Yeah.
I like I said in prior episodes, like, whatever you think of Trump, if you hate Trump or like Trump, but I don't know. I don't think he should be going to jail for this. I mean, I don't know about some of the other stuff, but we'll see what happens. Next legal issue, Scotty Scheffler, I mentioned last week, is a professional, the number one golfer in the world. He's ranked number one in the world, great golfer. And by all accounts, he's a good guy. He was, we talked about it last week, he was going into a tournament, and there was a car accident. It had nothing to do with him. A guy died. And so they're pulling everybody over and redirecting traffic. And a cop stops him, and somehow the cop got dragged, was holding onto his car, got dragged. Not seriously hurt. Ripped his pants, scraped him up a little bit.
But was the cop holding on, and that's why he was being dragged? Because then he let go of the fucking car. Like, that's just strange to me. How could he control this guy holding his window?
But he got
What's he
charged
supposed to do?
with
Well, there's no
crime.
Get off my car.
The cop turns off his dash body cam, which
He
that
turned
was
it
a little.
off?
Well, it wasn't
Didn't
running.
turn it on because I'm not
They're
a cop.
not
I've never
on
been a
the whole
cop, but
time.
I guess it's off until you turn it on.
Right. So that raised a little bit of red flags here, and they've luckily I guess they dropped all
They
the
dropped
charges.
it already, and they said it was a quote misunderstanding. I'm like,
yeah, but Scheffler, the one thing the guy said, he's like, well, you know what, I thought he was a securry guard, not a cop. I was like, well, yeah, so it doesn't matter.
I thought I was dragging
guard.
the
I'm a
security
security
guard.
guard licensed. I'm like, so it
Well,
was.
where was he on the cart? Was he in the back? Could he have just said,
he was
hey,
driving.
I didn't see him? No, I know. I mean, the police
the
officer was dangling.
cop went up to it. They do have video from a distance. They just don't have it. And the
Yeah, I
cop
tried
went
to
up
look
to
it
his
up.
window, like the driver's window.
Okay. And then was holding on, being dragged.
It's really hard to see, but yeah, I
He
think
hit
so.
his hand, so he let go.
Listen, the guy's a great golfer. I'm glad things worked out for Scotty because we need him on the links. There you go. Okay, let's be honest.
We know where you stand.
Yes.
So anyway, he can sleep a little easier tonight. Scotty is a free man.
Yeah. All right.
All right. The next thing, people from the New York area will certainly know of this, of a certain age. But in 1976 and 1977, there was a serial killer in New York City. They called him the Son of Sam. He was killing women, or trying to. He killed 6 women and injured 7 others. And he used a .44 caliber handgun, which is a pretty big, powerful weapon. They called him the .44 caliber killer. This guy named David Berkowitz. and he was only killing brunettes. Be careful that he had some issue with brunettes. I don't know what that was about. So, like, what's funny, I remember I was a little kid at the time, but I remember it. I remember, like, my mother and grandmother were afraid to go to New York City.
Scary time, sure.
Because, you know, they didn't know.
So he's just shooting them point blank, like kill shot?
Yeah. And
just random?
It was random, yeah. It had no apparent connection to any of these people.
Weird. So
women were buying hair dye and blonde wigs like in record numbers because he was killing brunettes.
Maybe he wanted more blondes in the world, and that was his trick. He's like, I'm gonna start killing these brunettes. Everyone's gonna dye their hair blonde, and now I got all the options.
I don't think he was that bright.
I think a man would do something crazy
shooting
like that.
Point blank range, and 7 of his victims lived. I'm like, how much of an idiot is this guy?
Wait, 7 that he tried to shoot in the head, he missed?
Dead and 7 lived because he didn't hit him direct, or he missed.
This guy sucks. That's not a good killer. I mean, you're supposed to at least get it done. But good for them.
They caught him. So like I guess a woman saw like a strange vehicle parked near one of the murders and called the cops. So they decided to check all the parking tickets in that area. So there were not that many. So they just went to every house, and when they went to his house, in front of the house is his car. He lived in an apartment.
When is this? This is now?
No, he got arrested in 1977.
Oh.
And his car's parked in front of the house with a gun in the back seat. So they see the gun, and they decide not to go in. They waited for him to come outside.
Yeah, and then what? They arrested him.
So then he gets in his car, and then the cop holds the gun right, you're under arrest. And he's like, you got me. And the cop goes, who did I get? Because he knew, and he goes, you got Sam. And they called him the son of Sam. But it was on the TV and papers every day. Yeah. You could not get away from this.
Right.
Was that like one of the first serial killers?
No, they've been around for a long time. I mean, Ted Bundy was in.
Was that before or after this guy?
Richard Ramirez. I know the Night.
John Wayne Gacy was before that.
That's one of the more synonymous ones.
Yeah, I knew those.
That's one of the more synonymous ones. The Son of Sam.
I mean, you got serial killers going back.
I bet they're going to make a movie on this. Where's the
Boston
Netflix
Strangler.
show?
Sure. Jack the Ripper was in London.
Sure.
So that's been going on.
Did they ever say what the Son of Sam, why he did it?
There were different stories.
Did he have a mental breakdown? Did he have a problem in his childhood? What was wrong with him?
Usually they have mommy issues.
Yeah,
he wouldn't. The lawyers want him to declare plead insanity. Right. He didn't want to do it, but he said there were stories about a satanic cult. There were stories about some dog, like Sam was a dog that was telling him to do it. All this the craziness. The neighbor had a dog named Sam or something.
Wow, I mean, crazy story.
So he
messed up stuff.
He went to jail for life, I assume.
Well, he got 25 years to life, and the prosecution wanted to be no parole ever, life without parole. He's eligible for parole in 25 years. So the way it works in New York and most places, you go before the parole board every 2 years. So he's been eligible for parole for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm. And you just have to act right in jail to be able to get out.
You go before a parole board and you state your case.
Based on your behavior.
So his was this week and they denied parole. Good. So the question is they're saying he's a model prisoner, not causing any trouble in jail. It'll be interesting. Will he ever get out?
I mean,
Charles
I think
Manson's
it's strange they give you the option. He killed 6 women. Why are we going to let him out? Of course he's going to act right so he can get out and do it again.
Well, that's another issue, not to get political again, is parole even... There's some people that argue, hey, you can't be rehabilitated. They're animals and they should never get out.
I agree.
But there's some that would say, hey, people could change and go to jail and maybe, get their stuff together, get treatment, get
Yeah, but you've contributed nothing to society. You took away 6 innocent lives. They should really just shoot the guy in the head and just call it a day.
I believe the problem with the death penalty is that people say, well, it's not a deterrent. If you're going to kill, you're not thinking, well, gee, if I get caught, I might get killed. You're not thinking that. But I want the death penalty because you know what it costs to keep someone in jail?
That's what I'm saying. Now we're spending all this money keeping this loser alive who took away all these lives for what?
I guess the death penalty is losing ground. It was legal for many years in this country. Then it was illegal. Then they brought it back in the 80s. And now it's people say, it's...
I mean, if you're out there intentionally...
There are people who think that death penalty is barbaric.
I bet they wouldn't think that if it was their daughter that had been murdered point blank. They'd probably feel a little bit differently,
If your daughter gets raped, you don't want the death penalty? I mean, I'm just
Of course you do.
Exactly.
100%.
But the problem is they never kill anybody. I mean, the Texas they do.
Yeah, where
they
really
get the chair
has
still? Or they do the
I
illegal
don't think they
injection?
do this as charity.
I think
more.
they do
Come
some
on, man, the
injection.
chair's great, man. You got to be there for that.
I think it's a lethal injection or gas.
But that's also expensive and dumb. Shoot them in the head. Just get it done, quick, simple, move on.
I don't know. I'm conflicted about the death penalty. I mean, I know that this sounds really cold. I pay taxes. I pay a lot, and like my taxes are going to keep David Berkowitz. His name is David Berkowitz. The son is his real name. Like, well, not I don't pay taxes in New York, but
Yeah, but if you lived there, you
if
do.
I did, like, you know, your taxes are going. This guy, they say it costs like $100,000 a year to keep someone in jail.
For one person?
Yeah, because you're paying his meals, you know, medical
That's
care.
insane.
You know, you got to pay
Hell
guards to watch
no.
them. I heard that number somewhere.
For murderers, that doesn't make sense to me.
I'm just saying.
Like, take a life, we take yours.
I think they're allowed to go to college for free.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think, she's on to
up.
something. I think we're too nice as a country,
We're way too
man.
nice, so then
I mean,
people
these
do this
people
shit.
are nutso. In a related story, you're from Louisiana. I read that Louisiana's considering sexual predators and sexual accusers and whatnot of castration, which I got to be honest, I think that would stop a lot of people from
for sure.
Well, I think
raping
they had
women.
it- they
Just
had
cut
it.
it off,
Or
man.
young children.
Sorry.
Whoa, whoa,
I
whoa.
agree. I
Well, the Eighth
completely
Amendment, they
agree.
have a cruel and unusual punishment.
Listen,
is in the
sometimes
Constitution.
drastic-
Hey, do unto others as they do unto you.
That's
Not
right.
Cruel, it's
That's how
certainly
I feel.
unusual.
That's my
It's certainly
motto.
cruel.
Snip, snip. There you go.
Easier said.
But it's true. It would definitely stop a lot of people if you actually knew you're going to be reprimanded in that kind of
Exactly.
way. They would think twice.
Stop acting a fool.
But that's the argument that people against it say, like, the criminal doesn't think, like, hey, if I get caught, they're going to cut my wee-wee off.
Right. But it's also, like,
they're not
survive-
thinking that ahead of time.
Yeah, but survival of the fittest. Like, you aren't fit, so we're going to just get rid of you. We don't want you reproducing. You know what I mean? We don't want those genetics.
Well, I think there have been instances where they have, I believe, sterilized prisoners or, like, rapists that got
Okay, I
out.
can take that. I
why
can take
not?
that.
They're just bad
But
seeds,
still,
man.
Make the thing not work so they
Or
still
they,
can't
I know for a fact they've given them drugs that try to eliminate the sexual urge.
Right. All right. Once again, all of that's expensive.
But I remember that summer, like they called it, like some people called it the Summer of Sam, like when he was killing these women and like,
Summer of Sam.
and there was a blackout in New York City in that summer. Imagine New York, the entire, pretty much.
You mean by blackout, like the
no
electricity?
power, yeah.
Okay.
There was nothing. The subways weren't running, the traffic lights, no television. I mean, think about
That'd
it.
be
Wow.
scary.
Looting was going like
terrifying.
insane.
Yep.
And it was only for like a day.
Imagine being stuck on like the 20th floor of an apartment too. Like, oh my God.
I think the only real little pockets of New York City that, like the Rockaways, which is
I've been there.
Southern Queens, they didn't lose power. Pratt Institute, which is an art school in Brooklyn, for some reason, they didn't lose power. And Belmont Park Racetrack, where the horses run, they didn't lose power. So the gamblers got to do their thing. But like the looting was insane. That the New York City blackout, I remember that. You know, we were like, "Oh, there's no fucking TV.
Yeah, and they
there's
didn't,
no TV."
and no one has guns to defend themselves either. So I was like, free for all.
And the Yankees won the World Series. Reggie Jackson hit 3 homers in Game 6 in one game. That was like amazing. But that was one big time summer. I remember it. But it was scary. Like we were just every time there'd be like another killing. You know, the son of Sam.
Yeah, it is scary.
And he was writing letters to the newspaper, like basically taunting them. You're not going to catch me, this and that.
Oh my God. Well, look at him.
They caught
Caught.
him because he didn't pay him. He didn't put in the quarter in the meter.
Yeah.
Now I kind of like
Brainiac.
those parking meters. Were you thinking that?
So he did not get parole.
Good.
He was denied. All right, moving on. Just quick updates on, we got the NBA and NHL playoffs going on. There's 4 teams left in basketball. In the Western Conference is the Dallas Mavericks against the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's best 4 out of 7. So you got to win 4 games to win that. Dallas won the first 3, and then Minnesota won Game 4. They're playing tonight, Game 5. So Minnesota's at home, so they're still live.
Yeah.
So does it stop when you hit 4
Once
wins?
you hit 4,
like
you
if
win.
you won
Yeah.
all 4 in a
Dallas
row, you
needs
don't
one
play
more.
the
That's
last
it. No,
3.
you don't play the last 3.
Okay.
That's it. So it'll be interesting to see if Minnesota can hang in there. They're at home tonight. I think they'll win tonight. Then they have to go back to Dallas in Game 6. That could be tough.
I don't think there's ever been a team come back from 4-0, to be honest with you.
3-0.
In the 3-0 and to win it. I mean, that'd be interesting, but I just don't recall that in the conference finals.
Now in the East, the Boston Celtics won in 4 straight against Indiana. So they're in the finals, the championship. Now, they're just sitting here resting, waiting for this other one to finish. So you could argue, is that good or bad? Because their players getting, if they have injuries, they're getting time to heal.
Maybe a little rusty when
But
they come back.
that's the thing is they might be getting rusty.
But
just
don't you
sitting
think they
around.
practice? Not just sitting there not doing anything.
They're probably practicing, but it's not the same as playing. So
actually
there are some
competitive.
teams that like are rusty when they have a long rest.
Right.
But they had the best record. They're ready to go, I think, Tom. I think number 18, the banner's coming for them.
The Boston Celtics have won more championships than any professional basketball team. And I agree with Drew. Like, it's really hard. If I were, I don't gamble, but if I were, it'd be hard to bet against the Celtics. But these games are really exciting. It's really close, well-played games. Hockey, we got 4 teams left there also. In the West, Dallas. So Dallas could win in basketball and hockey.
That'd be a fun party for them.
Right, Big D. They're playing Edmonton, and it's 2 games apiece. Again, best 4 out of 7. And Game 5 there is tomorrow night. So that's a very well-played, very close series. And the East, it's the Florida Panthers, our own Miami, Florida Panthers against the New York Rangers.
I think
Florida against New York.
Rick Benson, who we had on a couple weeks ago, he really knew his hockey. He picked the Panthers in Edmonton, I believe, if I recall.
I think so. Yeah. We'd have to go to the videotape.
Yeah, let's go to the videotape.
But their Game 5 is tomorrow night in Madison Square Garden in New York. The New York fans are fired up. You know, they've only won the championship a couple times in like the last 80 years. So their fans are really rabid fans.
Yeah, they are.
So who do you want to win? New York or Florida? Who are you loyal to, Tom?
I never liked the Rangers. I grew up in that area. There's a team, the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
So I rooted for them.
Where are the Florida Panthers physically located? They're in Miami or Fort Lauderdale?
Well, actually, I think their arena is in Sunrise, which is north of Miami.
Okay.
Kind of
So
little
they're really not in Florida. They're kind of
closer
their
to
own
Fort
state
Lauderdale
down there
than
anyway.
they are probably than Miami.
Yeah.
But it's a nice arena they have down there. I mean, their fans, they don't have, a lot of their games don't, if you want to see a game, it's cheaper to drive to Miami and pay less than it is to go to Tampa.
Yeah, wow.
All right, I don't want to keep dwelling on sports, but there's been a lot going on in sports. And another, I guess it's a little bit controversial thing is this is hard for young people even before my time to imagine, but before April 15th, 1947, black people were not allowed to play Major League Baseball. It was white only.
Just baseball?
Every sport had at one time or another
Okay.
where they opened up, they broke the color line, so to speak. But Jackie Robinson was the first black person ever to play Major League Baseball. So they had to play in what they called the Negro Leagues. The Negro Leagues were around since like 1920. Then when blacks got to play in the majors, it slowly ended. I think the Negro Leagues basically ended by like 1950. But some of the greatest players in the history of baseball started out in the Negro League.
Yeah, Satchel Paige. Right?
Leroy Satchel Paige.
Josh Gibson.
Josh Gibson was, they called him the Black Babe Ruth.
Right.
Never played in the majors. He died. Many consider him to be the greatest black player. But Hank Aaron, who I consider the all-time home run leader, even though Barry Bonds has more home runs.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds was accused of using steroids.
Yeah.
He has more homers than anyone, but I consider Hank Aaron the home run king. Ernie Banks played for Chicago Cubs. They called him Mr. Cub. Roy Campanella played for the Dodgers with catcher. He got a car accident, paralyzed. That ended his career. Willie Mays, I consider the greatest baseball player ever, which we could sit here for a whole show debating that. But Mays could do it all. I remember when I was a kid, my dad took me to Shea Stadium. Willie Mays ended his career with the New York Mets, and he was done. Like, he was old. He really, his skills had deteriorated, and I'm like, Willie's gonna hit a homer. Willie's gonna hit a homer, Dad. And my dad didn't want to tell me, like, Tom, Willie's done. He can hit a homer. And I was there. He hit his last home run.
Wow.
Number 660. I was at that game.
Were you really? Wow, man. That's an amazing feat you saw.
Yeah, that's
Like,
awesome.
Willie heard me.
What is he like third on the all-time list? Where does he rank? Where would that rank? 660. That's somewhere to 3 to 5.
Well, we got Bonds, Aaron, Ruth. I think like
We're right around
Alex
there.
Rodriguez is pretty. I think he had 698.
yeah.
He just missed 700 by 2.
Yeah. It was him and Joe DiMaggio, right, and Mickey Mantle, like the debate of who was the greatest.
Well, they all played it like like DiMaggio, like won the World Series almost every year. He didn't hit as many homers as those guys.
He got Marilyn Monroe though, so that was a big home
He
run.
was married to Marilyn Monroe.
All right.
Yeah. Joe had a pop in Mr. Coffee.
He made a fortune that advertised for Mr. Coffee was the first commercial like automatic coffee maker, and he was did their commercials.
Oh wow.
So he hated like signing autographs, and like I used to have Yankee season tickets for years when I lived up there, and I took my dad to Old Timers Day. Old Timers Day is when the retired players come and they introduce them and so my father idolized Joe DiMaggio, being an Italian, and I said, Dad, we got to leave early to beat the traffic. So we leave in like the 6th inning. We're walking to the parking garage, and DiMaggio's there.
Oh my God.
With he has like I don't know if it's his guard or driver or whatever. And like you didn't go up to him, like he didn't want people like
bombarding him.
And I said, he signed for my dad.
Oh wow.
Really?
Wow.
That's incredible. That was like meant to be that you guys just happened to leave early and walk in there.
But get back to the Negro Leagues, like I mean you look at it now, like I don't know, like I keep talking about how society's changed since I was a kid, like how did people let this happen? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm like a conservative, like politically. I'm like a Republican, right wing. I'll tell you the truth.
Although we live socially liberal,
but it's
that's
like,
all we are.
But I mean, like, how did like people, like, how do you say, hey, well, black people can't play? Like, how did this go on so long? I don't understand that.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's actually insane.
It's really like, I guess it's like parents just keep passing racism onto their kids, and it just didn't.
Well,
die.
It's definitely taught, right?
Yeah,
it's
like you're not born a racist.
You're not born being racist.
Right.
It's someone is teaching you that growing up. That's the only way it's possible.
But Drew mentioned Satchel Paige. He was a pitcher, like a character and a half.
Bring some heat, man.
The guy, first of all, no one really knew how old he was.
Yeah.
Because there's all, like, so he made the majors because his first major league game, he was 42. The oldest rookie in the history of baseball to this day.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And that's old for.
Oh, that's ancient. Tom Brady played till he was like 43 in football. But
Right.
So his last game, they brought him back as a publicity stunt in 1965. He's 59 years old.
Dude, wow.
And he pitched 3 scoreless innings, and they took him out.
Wow.
Like, I mean, like, just unbelievable. Satchel Paige he's in the Hall of Fame.
He had a great quote, man. Don't look behind you. Somebody may be gaining.
That's right, the famous quote. I mean, what was the other quote? I had a quote like one of these guys. Well, there's Satchel Paige. Don't look back. Somebody might be gaining on you. But Josh Gibson, getting back to him, most of the black players felt he should be the first one to play because he was the best in the majors. But there were other concerns. Like, they knew that there was going to be racism. Like, Jackie Robinson endured tremendous racism.
Like from the other teammates?
Other team and the fans.
Wow.
And, like, they would call him,
Yeah.
So they couldn't have him fight back. They're like, you have to take it.
Why?
Because
the hell is that?
It's going to disrupt the game.
That was Branch Rickey.
Yeah,
right?
Branch Rickey.
Telling someone not to stand
took
up
a
for
chance
themselves.
on this
So
guy.
Jackie Robinson was a college-educated military veteran. So they went with him. It wasn't just about ability, but so Josh Gibson never got over that he wasn't the first, and he had a brain tumor and he refused to have surgery. So he just accepted the headaches, and he died of a stroke at 35.
Oh my God!
But a lot of people say that was part of it, but also he just couldn't get over that he never played in the major leagues. Mm-hmm. But now, the reason I'm bringing this up is this week, Major League Baseball passed a rule that the statistics from the Negro Leagues now count.
Towards
the major league, like in other words, like the greatest average of all time.
So they weren't counting their records.
No.
And now they so they're updating everying. So are they knocking people out who had top records?
Yeah,
and they're actually it was him.
Correct.
Good. As they should though.
Like it used to be the highest batting average for a career in baseball history was Ty Cobb. Mm-hmm. He's a white player from Georgia, was considered by many to be racist. .367 lifetime batting average, which is crazy. Well, Josh Gibson's was .373, so now he's number one.
Wow.
So
that's cool, though. I mean, it makes sense that they would do that.
And the highest single season average, Josh Gibson hit .466 in a season. So now he's at the highest single season batting average, which is like almost one hit every 2 times up.
Yeah.
Which is insanity.
Are any of these people still alive? So they actually get to are they giving them an award or something?
Mays is still alive. I believe Mays is still alive.
I believe Aaron passed.
Aaron is still alive.
I think Aaron passed.
No, Aaron died. Mays, I know, is alive. I wonder if there's any other Negro League players that are still alive. Jackie Robinson's dead. I think Larry Doby was a great player of the first American League. But what's another amazing thing about this, Ernie Banks, I think he's dead. I should know that. But they made it legal. The first black player played April 15th, 1947. Now, that didn't mean that you had to put black players on your team. Boston didn't have the Red Sox did not have a black player until 1959.
So it basically just meant you were allowed to try out to make the team, right? Is that what the rule was then?
Well, it wasn't really a rule saying they couldn't. Just no one. It was an unwritten rule that no one had black players, and so the first team to have black player was the Brooklyn Dodgers, which are now the Los Angeles Dodgers. They moved to California, but Boston waited 12 years to get a black player.
That's messed up.
I think it finally, the University of Alabama football is the best football team probably ever. They waited years to have a black player, and what happened was they played the University of Southern California game. I remember watching this game when I was a little kid. USC was always really good. They had a running back named Sam Cunningham, big black guy. They called him Sam Bam Cunningham. I used to really like him. And so he runs all over Alabama. And they lose. Alabama loses to USC. And the fans and the boosters were giving their coach a hard time. Hey, man, what are you doing losing? Because Alabama don't like to lose. They don't lose. Yeah. And he's like, we got to have black players. You want me to win?
Let me actually hire the best people.
Let me get the best players.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, like I said, there's some people that say, these are great players that I'm talking about in the Negro Leagues, but the overall, it wasn't as good as the major leagues. So now you're counting these records when they played inferior competition. But
right.
I certainly don't think you can call it a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. And if people want to nitpick that, it's why?
Right.
Just
think
let
it's a way
be.
to tip the cap.
Yeah, to be hey, we're sorry for being
part of
assholes.
Baseball history.
Yeah.
And you move on, and you.
And I don't know that these people, are not around to. Most of them are not around to know about this. Josh Gibson obviously died young.
Right. Yeah.
But
their families.
maybe a little bit it rights or wrong, somewhat a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't right it, but at least it's coming from a good place. What they're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right, next topic. We'll move on. Get away from sports a little bit. This is something that people in a lot of the country probably should know if they don't already. Hurricane season in the Atlantic is from June 1st to November 30th. So Saturday is June 1st. Beginning of hurricane season, I guess these scientists can predict. They're saying it could be really bad.
When?
This year. I don't know.
October?
I don't know.
You got the hot waters right now, man. We're in Sarasota, Florida. It's 96 degrees.
They say the water's in the 90s.
So that's not a good sign.
Because what's the date today? May 28th. It's water's 90. Yeah. So I love that warm water. I could sit
warm water is the best, but it's hot out.
It is.
So I want to give people some advice. If you're in Tominator Law, www.tominatorlaw.com for those that don't know. I specialize in hurricane or claims. I'm licensed attorney in Florida and Louisiana, which are the two biggest hurricane states. I'm also in New Jersey, which gets their share. But I also have a team available if you're in Texas or Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, North South Carolina, Virginia, wherever you may be. I have people that I work with, even in states where I'm not an attorney, that we could help you with your hurricane claim. And I just want to say on that, like, I'm not trying to, obviously I'm biased, but whether you hire me or another attorney, you need an expert. I mean, if, like, people think, well, my insurance is going to do the right thing.
They don't want to pay. Let's be honest. They want to get out of it if they can.
You need somebody who, it's in anything you do, like with your taxes, like people who do their own taxes, I think are foolish. Mm-hmm. Even though I've done my own taxes for years.
So you're foolish.
I've been accused of being foolish.
By who?
Many women have accused me of being foolish. We won't get into that. It's a family program.
Next episode.
Back to the hurricane. So just some do's and don'ts. I mentioned you want an expert, whether there's something called a public adjuster. I'm not anti-public adjuster. What they do is they're licensed by the state that they're in. They represent policyholders against their insurance company to handle their claim. But, like Alabama, they're not allowed, so you need a lawyer in Alabama, which I'll be there probably by the end of the year. Tominator law, we'll be adding Alabama. But if you don't get a lawyer, get a public adjuster, or somebody who knows what they're talking about to assist you. And I have so many people tell me, like, Hurricane Ian hit Southwest Florida September 28th, 22, so we're 18 months. I still have cases going.
It's crazy.
And now, if there was someone on from an insurance company, which, by the way, I welcome anyone who is either a lawyer or a claims manager or an executive of an insurance company to come on the show. Open invitation to discuss this, because I don't want to be biased. But do you think me or my clients want to wait 18 months?
No.
And I want to settle them.
Well, so what happens if you're in the middle of an open claim and then another hurricane happens and re-hits their house and screws it all up? Well, what happens? Because that could happen in a couple months.
It could work against the insurer, because one of the defenses insurance companies make is the damage isn't there. So they can't have it both ways. If another storm comes and does damage, you can't say, hey, that's from the prior storm when you said the damage wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah. You can't have it both ways. Mm-hmm. But I want to give a few tips, basic stuff that maybe most people should know. If you don't, you want to stock up with non-perishable foods, because you could lose power for weeks. Mm-hmm. If you're on medicine, prescription drugs, or whatever you need, maybe insulin, stock up.
Can you stock up on medicine, though? Like prescription medicine?
I don't know. I'm not
Eric
really.
says yes.
I'm not on any. Some people think I should be, but I'm not. Gas. If you can't, because gas tanks run on electric, so you may want to have a jug of gas.
Fill your grill up, man. If you've got a propane grill, that's a good idea, because if your electric's out, you can at least cook something possible.
You want to have some cash on hand, not too much so you don't get robbed, but because a lot of times the ATMs don't work, or you
want water bottles.
A lot of places you can't use credit if there's power out at the store. You have to pay cash. Water bottles, batteries, and flash. Load up on a ton of batteries. A radio, a battery-operated radio.
These stores really clean up, man, with hurricane season. Think about it.
Toilet paper.
I mean, there's a lot of people who live in a conspiracy world, like, oh, my God, these guys are going to start talking about the hurricanes. Here it comes. They're running on batteries.
Plywood. You want to be...
For what?
In case you have to board up windows.
What about the sandbags? Do people still do those?
I think so, yeah. A lot of times governments give them out, like townships.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You also want to take pictures of your house.
Yes.
And put it in your computer or email it so it's in the cloud, or I don't know how that works.
And
you don't know how the internet works? Shocker.
Me and Al Gore know how to.
And your,
that's a good one, though. Photos of your house. If you know a hurricane's hitting it,
if they're going to say, hey, that was smart. Like that, no.
Be like, no, look at the date and timestamp of my house, and then after, like, screw you.
Right.
That's really good.
Well, you don't want to go on your roof, because what insurance companies have said to me many times is, there's foot traffic on that roof. I'm like, I look at the insurance person, like, yeah, who goes on their roof?
No one.
Like, who the F goes on their roof? Like
to do what? What are you doing up there?
Maybe you go up there to clean the gutters like once a year or something.
I would never clean the gutters.
But they're arguing it's foot traffic. I mean,
no one's up there.
So if you're going to go take pictures of your roof, don't walk on your roof. Take it from off the roof.
Call Strong Roofing. He'll take pictures of your roof.
Strong Roofing. They'll take free pictures of your roof. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that.
Nah, it's fine.
When they get like 100 calls.
He'll do it. He'll do it.
All right. That's on you.
No, that's a good, listen, it's a good subject. We here in Florida have really seen an uptick in these unfortunate weather patterns. And we just, you know, there's nothing really you can do about it. You know, you just have to prepare and hope for the best. And if you're, you know, believe that there's a higher power up there, believe me, you'll learn to pray real quick when you see that thing on the Weather Channel, man.
Yeah, but most importantly, though, it's not about my clients getting paid or me making money. Most importantly is be safe, because people do die in these things.
Yeah.
Like, stay away from water. If you're in, like, Florida and Louisiana, like a lot of times in Louisiana, hurricanes, there's gators in this water.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because gators get washed away from where they really live, and they're in the street in this water. So you got to be stay away from windows, because when a storm comes, if you're near a window,
electrical cords come down. You can't walk through the water.
So where do you go?
It's a big mess.
Bathroom, I
guess.
The
basement.
We don't have basements here.
We don't have basements here. The garage. The garage probably don't have any windows.
Get a canoe, man.
One little window. Be careful.
That's crazy.
Life jackets.
Even about driving, if traffic lights are out, you got to be careful, because somebody could crash into you.
That's why we want more roundabouts, right?
Well, we get top started other roundabouts.
But it could be dangerous.
That was scary.
If you have, and if there's a lot of people ignore evacuation orders, even if you just start driving, fill up your gas tank and friggin' drive to, I don't know where would be safe. I guess if you drove to like Atlanta, you'd probably be all right, because that's inland.
Right.
And you could be there.
You're trying to get away from the ocean, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or you drive to Atlanta or Nashville or somewhere and go get drunk in Nashville.
Oh, hell yeah, let's go there. I'm in.
The storm surge.
We'll have our remote broadcast from Nashville.
I'm totally down.
Storm surge is really the big thing you've got to, keep an eye on seriously. That whole flooding situation is there's a whole host of things that come from these damn things. Tornadoes. It's just a messy weather occurrence, and we all got to deal with it, and it kind of sucks.
Well, I grew up in New Jersey, and my first property were in New Jersey, and like New Jersey is I think number one in property tax. Like when you buy a house in Jersey, you're worried about the price of the house, but you have to look at the taxes. Mm-hmm. Some towns are higher than others. It could be like a second mortgage.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Florida, we're low tax here. The thing here is insurance.
Homeowners insurance.
It's crazy, and it's funny. I know for years when I was a kid, not to change the subject, but like baseball and football players were wanting to make more money, and then the team owners were saying, we don't have it. And then the players would say, well, open up the books. They never would do that. So, well, insurance companies all cry that they're getting killed. But everybody I know, their rates have doubled. Like they must be clean. They probably made the money they lost off Hurricane Ian 18 months ago. They probably already made that back.
Yeah.
But, so it's a big problem in Florida. Like, what's the answer? They talk about things they could do. Like, when you have homeowners insurance, people don't realize your policy covers more things. Like, you get liability insurance if, say, your dog bites a guest.
Right.
You can get coverage to get rid of that, so that lowers your rates. Or there's things.
So you can take stuff out of your policy to make it lower. Oh, I didn't know that.
Isn't there called loss of use, where if you have to go to a hotel?
Most policies cover that, like to some degree. If you have to go relocate because your house is not inhabitable, but there's things you can do, but I don't know what the answer is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Man. We chose to live here, so it's something we've got to deal with.
And I love Florida. I consider it to be paradise. Our taxes are low, unemployment's low. The services are good. Whatever you go to DMV, you're in and out. I like the roundabouts because you get more car accidents for TominatorLaw.com. No, I don't wish anyone getting in a car accident.
No, of course not. No, we kid.
But if you do,
call Tom.
Blew through my McDonald's.
Unsweetened iced tea.
I'm going with the home run. Forget Circle K and 7-Eleven. I want McDonald's as a sponsor. The Golden Arches. You deserve a break today. You remember that song? That's before. That used to be their theme song. You deserve a break today, so get up and get away to McDonald's. Who wrote that song? I already mentioned him in this broadcast. That's a little clue.
It's a sports guy?
Barry Manilow wrote that song.
Barry Manilow. Holy smokes.
He made money writing jingles before he was a big star.
Wow, jingle writer.
Interesting.
I wonder how much money Barry Manilow made off that McDonald's song.
Probably a lot. I mean, the fact that you remember it is crazy.
And the fact you brought up Barry
When I was a
Manilow
kid,
I don't remember any McDonald's
we had
jingles.
no money. Like I shouldn't say we. I don't want to sound like I was dirt poor living. But my parents didn't have. We didn't have extra money. But like you're a young kid. I don't know about you, Morgan, but. Like McDonald's, if we got to go to McDonald's, that was like,
I loved McDonald's.
Man.
Those dollar cones.
You had to beg for that.
Yeah,
and like when my parents were, and it was, my mother was like, I could cook it for less. But when you got to go to McDonald's, it was like, yes, we got to go to McDonald's. We were excited.
It was a treat.
Yes.
It was so good.
Now
Now fast food's a luxury, man. That's what they're saying. It's like
I loved White Castle.
I wasn't into White Castle.
me
I was
neither.
more.
I went to
it
Jersey.
was McDonald's and Arby's.
There was a White
think they're
Castle.
kinda
I drove by
gross.
it. I tried to make. I was on my way to a meeting in New Jersey last week. I had to turn around and go to White Castle.
Don't they sell the White Castle sandwiches at Beach Club
Yeah.
now in a vending machine?
Not
That
anymore. They
can't
took
be
it out.
good.
Gnarly.
Yeah, it was
No, they
probably
were
a
good.
little
They
bit
were,
gross.
they were great.
Who was refreshing
I used to buy it all the time.
those.
Yeah, because you were hammered at 2 a.m. You didn't know that it was 3 days old.
I've never been drunk. I don't know what you're talking about.
Never.
Donald
Never.
Trump. Do you know Donald Trump claims he's never had a drink of alcohol in his life?
Yeah, I
That's
don't.
pretty wild.
I mean, my dad says that, so I guess it's
no, he said
possible.
because his brother had a drinking problem and died.
Yeah, no.
Well, when you have a trauma like that,
Sure.
it'll stick with you. So
Yeah.
I guess I believe it.
I mean, I
And
respect that. I think that's great.
he
but
was in such
I
limelight
don't-
that if you lied about that, like someone would have had a photo or video. So I'll give him that.
Tom, you
Would've
brought
come
up
out.
Trump. I had to, can I give the weasel of the week? Man?
Okay, go ahead.
Can I add this?
All right.
Can I add this to your show?
I don't know, but go ahead.
Okay,
Go
the
for
weasel
it.
of the week, man. You got to say is Michael Cohen for sure, man. And
Weasel
guy
of the week.
Todd Blanche, the attorney for Trump, man. He called him the gloat. The greatest liar of all time.
I love that.
That is a great quote.
Wow.
And so,
I like that phrase.
yeah, the gloat.
I have a few
we need
people I'm going to call that
Morgan,
too.
we need to trademark that. Go do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You go in today late.
All right, I'll do it.
Because before somebody gets that.
Exactly, man. He said that, and I was just.
Then we could rent it
I'm like,
out.
I've been
Yes, make shirts.
waiting to bring that up the whole time.
That's
so
a
thanks
good
for
one.
bringing up Trump.
Well, you know, when
Hashtag
Tom
gloat.
Brady played, obviously, New England Patriots, and like, I give a shout out to his lawyers. Obviously, I'm sure he has great lawyers. When he signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and immediately they trademarked Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Get it?
Oh, Tomba.
Sure.
And there was another one, Tampa Brady or something, like anything with him in there.
Yeah.
That they
Because
could
they didn't
combine
know
it.
what it costs like $150 to trademark something.
Well, because then people will make shirts off that, and that shit will fly off the shelf.
As long as nobody has it.
Yeah.
It's very cheap to do that. We could talk about that on another episode, but like I was thinking those guys are heads up.
Yeah.
That's why Tom
got
Brady, he's got the guys.
He's the goat.
So I
And Cohen's the gloat.
I actually one day I was in my office on a Sunday and I'm like thinking of stuff I could trademark and you could look it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
To see if it's
first
there
thing I said,
already.
let me try groovy. Do you remember the phrase groovy?
Yeah,
Like
yes.
it's before my time, but they used to in the '60s. They used to say, "Hey, that's groovy, man.
Yeah, man.
It's
Far
cool,
out
you know."
south.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you use that word?
So, no, I never
when you
used
had
that.
hair?
That's before my time. But I was like, maybe it'll come back, right? People start using it again.
course it does.
So I
Everything
look at-
comes back.
I'm too late. A million years ago, somebody
Yeah,
got that.
sure.
Bell
So I'm
bottoms.
just putting in phrases, like coming up with stuff.
All right. You should bring that back. Ruby. Start saying that.
Back to the drawing board, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's old as new again.
All right. So, but anyway, getting back to just close out with the hurricane. The season is coming. Number one, people, please, if you get warnings, people don't evacuate. And so many people every year you hear of somebody who just refuses to evacuate, they die.
Sad.
Yes.
It's not necessary.
Your pets, you got to protect your pets. And like before, my parents wouldn't let me have a dog.
I won't ever have a dog either.
And like, so I grow up and I'm living with a girlfriend and she had a son and we got him a dog for Christmas. And they really do. That's like, they become like a family member. Like, I love that dog.
Yeah.
How long did it last?
He lived pretty long. Like they told us when we got him, that breed was maybe 12, but he lived longer than that. He hated the heat. He was what they call American Eskimo. If you Google that breed, And when it was cold in the winter, I'd be walking him. It'd be like below 0 up in there, and I'm jacket, got a blanket on, I'm walking in, and he's just out there. He didn't want to go back in the house. I'm like, buddy, we're done. You're going back in the house. And then when it was hot out, he'd be dying.
Yeah. Did you shave his fur down as much as you could just to help?
I take him to a groomer, and like they shave him, and she goes, so he's like buzz cut, like a crew cut for a dog. Mm-hmm. And she goes, don't look at him too much. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, he's sensitive.
Stop.
I'm like, are you for
that's
real?
a little weird.
Is this woman whacked out?
God.
She's like, the dog, it's like a woman who gets a bad haircut.
Yeah.
He was like,
don't look at me. Tail between his legs. He's like embarrassed.
Is this woman crazy?
Yeah, people love their dogs, though, man.
I don't like when people treat their dogs like it's a human child, though. That shit pisses me off.
So many do that.
Not my thing.
I don't really like how people bring their animals to all of the restaurants and stuff. I mean, we have a dog. My sister has a dog, and she's the cutest little dog. But we didn't bring her anywhere where other people are like we went to that farmer's market, and all these big dogs. And I know the dog lovers are going to hate me, but so be it.
Well,
a lot of people take for granted that everybody else likes big,
My
dogs.
issue is when people do that.
That's kind of rude.
They do that fake support animal stuff, like
pretending it's an emotional support animal, so you
Right.
can bring the dog and sit it next to me on the plane, and I don't want to be next to your shedding animal.
Correct.
Like, get it the fuck off. You don't need it. You don't have anxiety.
Exactly. I'm sorry.
I mean, to me, it's just
I do.
It stresses me out thinking
Don't
about
get me
it.
wrong. I'm sure there's people that need their dog.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's like blind people who need a seeing dog to help them out.
I think people take
Totally
advantage
get
of that.
I'm
'cause
driving by.
They do.
I'm
They have,
driving
like-
down the road the other day, and this lady has her big ass dog out her window.
It's distracting.
I'm like, lady, focus on the road. Put Fido away,
Right,
man.
and it's gonna jump out and then get hit by a car, and she's gonna be all sad and blame the driver. It's like, no, that was your fault for being irresponsible.
People have no
I
sense.
have.
Oh God.
I love it though. You can tell. Like my dog used to love riding in the car. Like he loved it.
I got it. Sure.
He loved it.
But sticking its
I
head
could
out
drive
the
him
road
all
is
day
dangerous.
long, and he
Yeah,
went
it is dangerous. I was like, lady, you should have your license revoked immediately.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's progressive insurance. You can get coverage. Like if you get in an accident, your dog gets hurt.
Right. Well, it's not like you're seatbelting them in. They probably fly through the windshield.
They'll pay your vet bills up to like $1,000 if your dog. I don't think they have it in every policy. You have to buy it.
Listen,
Yeah.
dog bites. A lot of people, file claims, don't they, Tom? I mean, there's lawsuits. That's what
big
kind
money.
of make it a segue into these events where you see all these people like bringing their dogs and
Right. Well, it's too much
Somebody-
stimulation for them. That's
Yeah.
the problem. When you bring them around all these people and then other animals, they don't get along and it's going to bite someone. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. So,
I have an attorney that I work with. He's in another state, and he does a lot of dog biting. He was showing me pictures the other day. This beautiful young girl, like she was like, it was hard to look at the pictures he showed me.
because she got bit.
Yeah,
that's
Did they put the
sad,
dog
man.
down?
I don't know, but
That would piss me off.
Yeah, that's.
there's issues about the insurance doesn't want to pay.
For her face.
But she's going to be
There's issues about whether the
And
claim
she could be
is-
permanently scarred.
correct. Yes,
Yeah. I mean, it's like have a dog, but train it.
right.
And if it can't be trained and it's unsafe, then you should euthanize it.
Well, I don't want to. I don't. Obviously, every case I handle is confidential. So,
Yeah.
But I have a client that was in a bar, and another patron had a dog, took it off the leash, just run around the bar and bit him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bars are
where's
not
people's
appropriate for
sense?
animals.
Exactly. That's what
I
I'm
don't
talking
go to
about.
a bar to see
the
a dog.
risk is always there. I don't care if you've got a little poodle
Right.
or a big old
those things
freaking
can scratch your
rottweiler.
I just
eyes,
want to
you know?
say for the record, though, I love dogs. Like,
So do I. I don't want to
love
hear
dogs.
anything from the dog haters,
Yeah,
man.
Like my
This
dog
is
was-
about just
Don't bring 'em around me.
in the public
No, I love
eye.
dogs.
You need to be a little bit more conscientious
And-
of
and
people
I-
that
Yes.
and
may
just-
not be dog people.
You're responsible
okay.
for it.
Don't we
Yeah.
have Tominator law doggy
We
bags?
do. Well, I knew those would be a hit at the farmer's market. So they're like little bones with like 15 poop bags in them. So, yeah,
Anyone
see
who
us June
needs
15th.
that. Sarasota Farmers Market, get free doggy bones with
When's
poop
the next
bags.
one
and-
you said?
When is the next
We're
one?
15th,
doing
right?
Saturday, June 15th.
Right.
We now have new koozies that I've not
Nice.
shown you yet. I don't know if you've seen it on my desk. They're special ones this time. And then we got a hand sanitizer. So keep your
Sweet.
hands clean after you pick up your dog shit.
Nice.
Don't let the insurance company give you any.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, I think that about does it for today. We
Nice,
rambled on long enough.
Right on.
I want to thank both of you again for being here.
Yeah, a lot of fun, man.
Love it.
We look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Thank you.